You take my glasses off so I can talk with you. Hey, hey, hey. All right. Let's begin. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Lyssa the Healer. Hey, thank you so much to everybody who subscribed already. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so right now or at the end of the video if you would like to get the tea. My name is Alyssa. I am a rising second year medical student. Today I will be sharing the first part of my pre-med journey. If you would like to know about my story and some of the mistakes that I've made and how I was able to bounce back, please stay tuned and watch this video. To explain my medical or pre-medical journey, I have to start from the beginning. I actually grew up in Haiti. I spent 15 years living in Haiti, and when I was there, I was actually an amazing student. I didn't really struggle through school until I actually skipped a grade. And from there, things became more challenging because I was always catching up with everybody else. But over time, I adjusted. If you don't know about the Haitian education system, it's very difficult to achieve a perfect score. So my parents were very hard on me because they knew that they wanted me to go abroad, most likely to France, to continue on with my education. However, I wasn't sure. I thought that I would stay in Haiti for my medical education. And for that, it's pretty straightforward. After you complete your high school years, you go directly into medical school as long as you pass the first entry exam. So I didn't think too much into it. Then, unexpectedly in 2010, January 12th specifically, something unimaginable happened. An earthquake, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake, devastated my hometown. And it was such a hard time for us. And I remember vividly what happened that day. Maybe that will be a different story time. I remember that at some point my parents asked me if I wanted to stay or if I wanted to go to the States to continue on. My brother back then had already started with he almost finished actually his college years. So it was a safe bet for me to go there. I eventually decided that I wanted to go to the States and continue on with my education. And from there, I continue on with high school. Basically, I was put in 10th grade, but remember, I skipped a grade, so my age didn't match my level. And I remember that we had to fight to get me into 11th grade. I finished 11th grade and did 12th grade in high school. And another issue that I had was that translating my grades from the Haitian system to the American system was very challenging. From that point, 11th grade in high school, it was a point where basically people knew where they were going to go for college. They knew where they would apply. I basically had to jump right into the American system, and I didn't really understand that there were standardized exams that I had to take to go to college. Fortunately, I had a friend who told me about it. I didn't even study for the SATs. I just took it because there was no time for me to do anything and I didn't have the resources to do so. I took the SATs once. I don't remember my score. It's not relevant anymore. Never touched an SAT book. All I remember was that one of the substitute teachers showed me how to write the essay the way that they expected you to write it. That was one of the lowest scores that I had on the SAT. With her guidance, I took the SAT another time. And you know what's unfortunate is that I went to a public high school and the score that I had, for them it was amazing, but for me I was thinking I can't really go to school, you know, a top-notch school with that score, but I'm going to apply anyway. After I did my SAT and ACT, completed all of that, the other process was to actually apply for college. Again, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't understand what the application process was. The two people that helped me, or I would say three people that helped me, it was the brace advisor at the school, the high school that I went to, my friend, and my brother. They were the ones who were providing some guidance as to what I had to do, and of course, other family members that were providing for me at the time. I didn't have a laptop back then either. So when I was applying, I basically wrote down my essays on a sheet of paper, and I would wait for when I had lunch to go to the brace advisor's office, and I would fill out the application like that because I didn't have a computer at home. So every day I did a little bit of the application, and eventually I sent it out. One other thing that I didn't know about was that there were different type of colleges. So there were public schools, private schools, Ivy Leagues. I didn't know any of that back then. And again, I didn't have resources. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a computer to really do my own research. I basically applied to schools that I heard about. Most of them were very competitive, but I also applied to a lot of the state schools. And unfortunately, I didn't get accepted to any of the schools that I applied for. It was such a very hard time back then because it's like I already went through the hardship of the earthquake and I had to leave home. And also now it's like somebody who was shining in her home country. Now I was basically feeling like a loser in the States. Fortunately, the brace advisor told me about community college, and also my aunt enrolled me to community college, and that was like the last resort, but that was a good option. And you know what, miraculously I feel like that was like an indication of hope for me. I randomly received an acceptance letter to a school that I didn't apply for. It was USF in Florida. I don't know how they got my information. I remember vividly that I didn't send my application there. I remember having the discussion with my parents. I would rather go to a 4-year institution versus the community college. But when we looked into the tuition, I couldn't afford it. I didn't receive in-state tuition, although I lived in Florida at the time. There was no way for my parents to be able to provide like this amount of money because when you convert the Haitian goods into American US dollars, it's it's a lot to it's a lot of goods to make a dollar. We couldn't afford for me to go to college, so the community college was the best option for me. I always had a heart of gratitude because I know where I come from and all of that. And I also recognize that it took a village really to help me through the process. I really want to give a shout out to my brace advisor. She knows who she is because she saw me in that time and she recognized that I was in financial need to go even to the community college. She nominated me for a scholarship. So when I went there, most of my expenses were covered. And because I still lived at home with my aunt, I didn't have to pay much. After all of the hurdles of trying to apply for college, I was on point during the first 2 years of community college. I studied my butt off, even though I was working a part time job and had leadership positions at the time. I was able to apply for a transfer. And I think I applied to about 5 schools that were in the state of Florida. I got accepted to all of them. Now, to mention my pre-med journey during that time, I also didn't know about choosing any major that I wanted at the time. I went to the advisor at the community college, and she wasn't well equipped to provide that information to me. All she said was that pre-meds usually choose bio or chemistry as a major, and that's not really true. A lot of different people chose different majors. All you have to do is complete the prerequisites as you're completing your major, and I didn't know that. So another aspect too with community college is that they have limited amount of classes that they provide. So sometimes I would need to take a prerequisite and the class wasn't offered at a time where I could attend, or it wasn't offered on my campus. So these were some of the issues that I encountered with community college. However, I was able to complete all of the prerequisites that I needed to transfer into the 4-year institution. So at the time, with the first 2 years, my goal was just to move on to the 4-year institution. And unfortunately, I didn't really know about preparing, shadowing. I didn't know about any of the clinical volunteering hours that I had to do. A lot of that was completed during my journey as a junior and as a senior. So if you would like to hear about that aspect of my journey, please stay tuned. And I have more actually, because guess what? I took 3 gap years. So the story is pretty juicy. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video.